What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. And today, I'm going to be going over the only deck that I was able to bring myself to build from Ultimate Squad. Now, I'm not knocking those who have been enjoying the set. I understand that I've kind of been, poo-poo talking about Ultimate Squad for quite some time. I think I owe Ultimate Squad a little bit of an apology. It's a good set. It's just, I'm so excited for a new block that I overlooked Ultimate Squad. But with that being said, there definitely are some really good archetypes, some really interesting cards, some really good mechanics from this set. So if you guys are enjoying the game, by all means, don't listen to like a Grinch like me when it comes to it. If you're enjoying it, that's all that matters is your guys' enjoyment with Ultimate Squad. A couple of weeks ago when I went to locals, I did want to try my hand at an Ultimate Squad deck. And the one that interested me the most was DripKu, or Fearless Fighter, whatever it is you want to call him. DripKu. I like the Yardrat Drip, so I'm going to call him DripKu, which I think is what everybody's calling him online. Anyway, so I liked the uniqueness of this deck. I mean, we've had Unisons in this format. We've had Unisons in this game since set 10, Rise of a Unison Warrior. But I feel like DripKu really brings everything together with the Unison mechanic. And it kind of just lends itself to a very unique play style, which I did enjoy. There's definitely some holes. There's definitely some improvements that deck could get in the future, I think. Maybe, maybe not. And there's one thing for the life of me that I don't understand, which I want to get out of the way now. So, Goku as a leader, whether he's awakened or unawakened, does not have a skill that allows you to combo Unisons out of your hand as a zero-cost 5k combo. Now, some people... Shout out to my boy Enrique. We were actually talking about this last week. Some people might think that ability of comboing Unisons out of their hand could be a little broken. However, there's a cooler in Ultimate Squad that has that same exact effect. It's not once per turn. You can use a Unison in your hand as a 5k combo with either a leader card or a Unison card. So in Cooler, he can use his Unisons as 5k combos for himself, both offensively and defensively. And he could use them for their Unison, both just offensively, because the Unison doesn't have a defensive step. Bandai, if you're watching this video, for the life of me, I do not understand why you would not give that clause to this leader. This leader specifically has to run Unisons as its playstyle. So why wouldn't you make that effect on this leader as well as Cooler or instead of Cooler? That's my one gripe with this deck, is that I feel like Unisons at some point, if you draw a multitude of them and you can't play them quickly enough, they essentially become dead cards. We're going to go over the list card for card, but as you can see here, I'm playing 16 Unisons in this deck. 16 Unisons. That's 16 cards I'm using that have no combo power, essentially. I don't want to say that they're dead cards because they facilitate your strategy, but defensively they're dead. So let's get into it. Let's look at the leader. Son Goku, Yardrat Drip. Auto, add one card from your life to your hand. When this card attacks, you can look at the top 5 cards from your deck. You can play one yellow Unison with a specified cost of 1 among them with a marker in rest mode, then shuffle your deck. Okay, fine. So he scries top 5, plays a Unison with a marker. Solid. Awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, you may draw 1 card, switch one of your energy to active mode, and flip this card over. Okay, so he's good. He plays Unisons for free. As long as they're 1 cost, they come in rest mode, which is fair. He self-awakens, so he won't ever get locked in or turtled out. And you won't have to force Awakening awkwardly. And then he's an untap 1, draw 1. So far, the leader itself is good. And if we're looking at the Awakened side, we have Super Saiyan Son Goku, Fearless Fighter. Auto, once per turn, when this card attacks, you can draw 1 card. Then you can play up to 1 Unison card with a specified cost of 1 from your hand with a marker on it in rest mode. So different from the front side. The Unawakened side was playing them from top 5 of deck, whereas the Awakened side is playing them from hand, but they're still coming in rest mode. I think it would have been okay for the Awakened leader to play them in active mode, but maybe that's just me. Activate main once per turn. You can pay 2 yellow energy to place 8 yellow Unison cards from your drop area to the bottom of your deck in any order. Switch this card to active mode. It gets plus 10,000 power and double strike for the turn. That's a really good effect. 8 Unisons, putting 8 Unisons from the drop area to the bottom of the deck is a lot, but we're playing 16. At least you'll never deck out with this guy, right? Activate main, it kind of stinks because it's readable, like your opponent can stop it. I would have preferred it be activate battle. Obviously, we know activate battle is just a lot more effective, and I don't want to hear anybody say that, oh, that would be too strong or that would be too broken. Dude, Trunks' ability of giving itself 10k and double strike is activate battle, so I don't want to hear that nonsense. I would have preferred this to be activate battle, and then he does actually have an activate battle. Once per turn, you can spirit boost X. If it's your opponent's turn, so only defensively, for each marker you remove using the skill, you can get plus 5,000 power for the battle. That's it. For the battle. So it's just one attack. You can spirit boost X and get, 15, 10, 5k combo power on defense. So it's not very versatile offensively, but in a pinch, I guess it could save you. So all in all, it's a decent leader. In my opinion, it could have used a little bit of improvements in certain scenarios, but I guess Bandai didn't want to make this deck too broken because Unisons are very difficult to interact with, but at the same time, I think it would have been okay, in my opinion. Let's get into the Unisons. Our first one is Piccolo, the Z Fighter. He's a 1-cost restricted yellow Unison, 5k attack. He has Empower Yellow, so if you guys don't know what Empower is, basically, if this Unison comes and replaces another Unison, it carries over whatever the Empower cost is, it carries over that many markers to itself. So if you already have a Unison out and you play Piccolo, as long as that Unison has 2 markers, he will carry over 2 markers from the current Unison that you're replacing. Auto limit 1. If this card has 3 or more markers on it, when this card is played, draw 1 card. So if you play it for 1, but you empower 2, you immediately go to 3 markers on play. You'll be able to draw a card when you play it. Plus 1, activate main for a marker. This card gets 10,000 power for the turn, so he becomes a 15k attacker for 1 energy. Pretty solid, not bad. Definitely want to get your draws going, so you definitely want to be able to mitigate all that draw power, and getting the Unisons into the drop area isn't bad because you could always put them back to the bottom of the deck with the leader's skill once he's awakened. Our next one is Yamcha Empower Yellow for 2, so they all have the pretty much that Empower keyword, they all pretty much have, so we're going to get into that. Auto, if this card has 3 or more markers on it, when this card is played, you can choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and switch them to rest mode. That's really good. Being able to play Yamcha for 1 and tapping stuff down that doesn't have barrier is really nice. Yellow has always been that color that taps down cards. Just does a really good job of doing so, and there is a lot of synergy with that. Plus 1, activate main. This card gets 10,000 power for the turn, or plus 0, you can draw a card. So Yamcha's kind of like the first one you want to get out on the board with the leader skill. So if you look at top 5, you take a life, you play the Yamcha, you can plus 0 to draw, you still have your energy open, and you want to swap into that Piccolo. So that's essentially going to get you 2 draws on turn 1 with a 15k attacker, and a Unison with 4 markers passing turn, so it's not bad. And then we have the second best Unison in the deck, in my opinion, is we have this Vegeta here, this Vegeta Unison, and they all have the same line, right? Vegeta Z Fighter. So he has the Empower 2 yellow keyword, like all the other ones. Auto, if this card has 3 or more markers on it, when this card is played, you can choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less in rest mode and KO it, and this card gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. Auto limit 1, when this card is placed in a drop area from a Unison area, draw a card. So that's really nice. Being able to play this guy with multiple markers on it is going to give you that sweet 5k boost, making him a 9k attacker. But as you can see, for plus 1 marker, activate main, This card gets plus 6,000 power for the turn. So they're all in line with being 15k attackers on turn 1, which is nice. And then Vegeta has the added skill of once it's sent to the drop area from the Unison area, you get to draw a card. So this deck does draw enough cards to where you're going to see your pieces, okay? But remember, we're drawing into Unisons. We're not drawing into a lot of battle cards. We're not drawing into a lot of other different things that you're normally seeing in other decks. We're taking up 16 deck slots with just Unisons. So it could get clunky. I've just played in experience, playing it, but it is detrimental to the strategy itself. But those are your 3 main ones, and then your boss monster, so to speak, is the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan here. He's in Power Yellow 3, so he'll carry over 3 markers, and he is a 20k blocker. Auto, if this card has 4 or more markers on it when this card is played, you can choose X of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, where X is the equal number of yellow Unison cards in your drop area and KO them. This effect is really, really good. I like this Unison a lot. I think he's a really good card. 20k blocker on a Unison that's going to come out with, essentially 4 markers immediately is amazing. In conjunction with having Unisons in your drop area and clearing your opponent's board, ignoring barrier is always huge. Getting those barrier cards in rest mode might be a little difficult initially, but if your opponent is swinging with them, then you're just going to be able to come in and essentially clear the board. By the time you play this Gohan, you're going to have 3 to 4 Unisons in your drop area anyway, so it's pretty efficient at board removal, but we're not done yet. +1, activate main, draw a card, so it's another draw power for a marker if you just want to play it to clear a board, not swing, give up the blocker or anything like that. But then what makes him really good is this -3. You can choose up to one of your leader cards. This card and the chosen card get plus 5,000 power till the end of the turn, to the end of your opponent's next turn, and then this card gains triple attack. So if you can combine this Super Saiyan 2 Gohan Unison with your leader skill of tapping 2, getting 10k and double strike, you're going to be able to put out a lot of damage. Your Goku's going to jump up to a base 30k attacker, awakened with double strike. That's huge. And then your Gohan's just going to be able to chip 20k triple attack as much as it wants. You don't even have to attack all 3 times. You can attack twice for 20k and then just leave him active so you can use your blocker on your opponent's turn. But the 5k does carry over defensively, which can be pretty nice. And that's going to basically round off our Unison count. But because we're playing such a Unison-heavy deck, we have to play cards that will benefit from having a Unison strategy. As you can see, we're playing 4 Vegeta Prideful Transformations. Your Unisons are going to be live turn 1, and they're going to have more than 2 markers on them. So Vegeta Prideful Transformation is a good card to have early. It's not going to do a lot of stopping. It's going to do a lot more setting your opponent back. It is a 14k blocker, so it's going to be a little difficult to use this guy offensively, but having that 14k blocker to kind of alleviate yourself from taking damage is going to be really interesting, as well as being able to just kind of stop your opponent's early plays. I think he's really good. And again, if you draw multiples of these guys, you can always charge them, because charging Unisons in this deck is kind of a feels bad. So the next card we're playing 4 of the new 1-drop Gohan. He's 1 restricted yellow, 1 energy. Auto, when this card is played, look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck. Add up to 1 yellow Unison card with a specified cost of 3 or less to your hand, and then shuffle. So he's a really good turn 1 play if you're on the play. You don't necessarily always want to play a Unison out turn 1, because if you're going first, your opponent's easily going to be able to deal with that Unison. You want to be able to, tag these guys in off your leader skill, and then tag them out and draw and get big and get 10k boost and stuff like that. So depending on what your matchup is, you don't always want to play the Unison out turn 1, which is why having a good 1-drop to be able to put out on the play is really nice. Next, we're playing the new 3-drop Gohan. Now, this card, I didn't want to play this card, at all. I didn't want to play this card at all. But this is the only card that gives you what the cooler leader has, right? So I'm just going to skip all of this card's text. The only important thing about this card is the activate battle. Once per turn, discard 1 yellow Unison card from your hand. Choose up to 1 of your yellow leader cards or Unison cards, and it gets plus 5,000 power for the battle. So essentially, you can use your Unisons from your hand as 5k combo once per turn per battle. So offensively, defensively, that's fine. If you have multiples of these guys out, it could stack. But look at what you have to do what Cooler already does printed on the leader. You have to play this guy in multiples just so that your Unisons can be used as 5k combos and they don't sit dead in your hand. If Bandai would have just given him that clause, I think this deck would be a lot better than it is right now. But all in all, this card isn't bad. He's a 15k attacker. He does have barrier. So it's going to be a little difficult for your opponent to get rid of this guy. Auto limit 1 for 1 yellow. If your leader card is a yellow Son Goku, when one of your Unisons, it leaves the dropped area from the Unison area, you can play this card from your hand. So he has ways of being played for cheap. You're rarely going to want to use this guy offensively because that skill of being able to combo your dead Unisons out of hand is really nice, and it's going to be able to facilitate your leader skill for the 2 energy to bottom deck 8. So you want to get like 2 to 3 of this guy out as quickly as you possibly can, and then just let your opponent deal with it. If they have barrier removal, fine. You know, it's one less thing you have to worry about. And then very rarely are you going to swing with this guy unless you start stacking multiples of him, in my opinion. Next, we're playing the Farewell Son Goku card that we got in Ultimate Squad. This card's really good. I like it a lot. I was playing it at 2. You can make the argument for 3 though. I think 3 might be the best way of doing it, but at 2 was fine. It's a 15k attacker, counter attack, negate the attack, and play this card in rest mode. Permanent, if you have a yellow Unison card in play, reduce the energy of this card in your hand by 2, so it's a 1-drop counter attack. Auto Spirit Boost 1. Place this card in its owner's drop area. When this card is played, you can choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. Additionally, if the chosen card has an energy 5 cost or less, you can KO it and then draw a card. So he does a lot. He does stop attacks. He does give you a 15k body on board. And if you need to, you can Spirit Boost 1 to KO a 5-drop or less to replace itself immediately. So it's just a good way of getting rid of threats. You can stop the oncoming attack and then, pop, a 5 or less, to prevent yourself from getting another attack. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1. I really like this card. I really like the flavor. Goku's coming in to save the day, and then he's instant transmissioning himself away with Cell so it doesn't blow up the world. It's kind of sacrificing himself to save his buddies type thing. So it's really nice. You could make the argument for, like I said, for 3, but I think 2 is pretty good. And then on to Turles All Too Easy. This is where you start getting into just the good yellow stuff. There's not a lot of it, but you can play some of it. So Turles All Too Easy, obviously 20k double strike. Activate main for 2 yellow. If your leader card's a yellow Saiyan, you have 3 or more energy, you can play this card from your hand. On play, you can draw 1, and then you can choose an opponent's battle card and rest mode KO it, and then you can either draw 1 or KO another battle card. So it's just good spot removal. 20k double strike is a lot of pressure your opponent has to deal with on turn 3. So it's just other ways for them to try to board control as opposed to going at your leader. Because if you can stack multiple Turleses or Unisons or battle cards on board, it is going to be a little difficult for your opponent to get rid of them. Our secondary boss monster is Return of the Dragon Fist. He's a 25k deflect double strike auto. When this card is played, you can choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO them. This is definitely in line with what yellow wants to do anyway. Activate main for 3 yellow. If you have 4 or more energy and a yellow Unison card in play, you can play this card from your hand. So it's a 3-drop. If you have a Unison, obviously this deck is going to have tons of Unisons out, so it's not going to be too hard to fulfill that requirement. Activate main once per turn. You can Spirit Boost 2. If your leader card is mono yellow, this card gains dual attack for the turn, and your opponent can't activate skills on battle cards with original energy cost of 7 or less from any area in battle. So, no super combos, no body counters, no counterplays, anything like that. It's really nice because you're going to be sitting at 25k dual attack double strike in combination with your Gohan, who could potentially be triple attack, and your leader, which could be double strike. Is a lot of just offensive pressure you could put on to your opponent while shutting off their skills. Now, granted, the skills only get shut off when Goku is in battle, not just for the turn. So you want to be careful. You want to kind of try to pigeonhole them into using their effects on other battle cards, and then when you can just kind of pressure for lethal, you go ahead and just go in with Goku. But it's a really good card. Our super combo of choice is for Krillin. He's especially good in this deck because you could bottom deck your dead Unisons to draw 2, which is nice. 4 or less, it's easy to get to 4 in this deck. Krillin has always been just a really good super combo. All of the bottom deck draw 2 super combos are really good. 1 Swift Retaliation Cooler. This deck does draw enough And, you know, Swift Retaliation Cooler is really good just to stop that one big, you know, whatever skill it is your opponent's trying to do, whether it's like a baby hatch or something that's going to counter. It's just, you want to use Cooler when you're trying to go for a game. You don't want to just use him willy-nilly because he gains more value. He accrues more value as the game goes on. One Poutine, you're playing yellow, you might as well Poutine. One man on a mission. I know I made a video about Mira Assault in the Skies and Mira Creator Absorb being like my go-to unisons, but in this deck, I don't want to use energy on anything that's not a unison or like a finisher, so to speak. So, you know, tapping one for a unison is a lot better than tapping one for an overwhelm card that might not win you the game. So I'd rather be able to apply as much pressure I possibly can with my already established board, and if I need one more swing, I can just free play man on a mission. You do want to be careful when you overwhelm, though. You definitely want to make sure that if you plan on using your leader skill, that you do it before you overwhelm, because if you don't have those unisons to put at the bottom of the deck, you're not going to be able to get that off. So overwhelm in this deck is very just like one and done. You're going to use man on a mission to try to seal you the game. If not, then don't play it. Use it as a 5k combo. We're playing the one of Champa because I think every deck should just play one of Champa until he gets banned, if he ever does. You know, it's just a nice little gotcha for the game, and you know, giving a double strike to a triple attacker or something like that is huge in my opinion. So we're playing the one of Champa. Now for secret rares, there's a ton of different options you can choose. If you're more of a budget player, you can play Heroine's Lineage. If you want to experiment with yellow secret rares, you can try the Super Combo secret rare. You can try the Sin Shenron secret rare. You can even try like the Android 17, 18 Absorb secret rare. They're all really good, but in my opinion, in the meta right now, Supreme Kai of Time is probably the best one you could play just because it gives you so much. You know, you can combo it into play for one. You can wipe your opponent's board, including unisons, which is nice, you know, when it comes to board wiping, especially unisons and how powerful they really are. You know, like your Majin Boos or your, you know, Piccolo Juniors and stuff like that. So just giving you that flexibility and just kind of like that reset button is really nice. We are playing 3 Realm of the Gods Black Kamehameha. Activate battle if your leader card is yellow. You can choose up to one of your opponent's cards. You can choose one of your cards to give it plus 10k for the battle. Then choose one if it's your turn. You can choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. If it's your opponent's turn, you can draw one and then switch 2 of their cards to rest mode. You're primarily going to use this defensively because you're going to want to dodge as many attacks as possible. But it does come up offensively sometimes when you kind of just want to clear stuff off their board. You know, giving yourself a 10k boost, you know, and killing something at the same time is really nice, especially if you're trying to pressure their leader. But this card gets you more value defensively because you get to draw 2 and then rest 2. And then you get to trigger all of your other yellow shenanigans in the deck as well. So we're playing 3 of those. We're playing 2 Release from Evil. I really, really like Release from Evil in this deck, especially because you're playing all these unisons, so Release from Evil is as live as turn 1. Basically, it's a watered-down version of Final Flash. It kind of just blanks whatever card's attacking. It does have a wide range of targets, though. It doesn't only stop battle cards. It can stop unisons, and it can stop leaders. It is counterattack timing. It doesn't stop the attack, but it does kind of shut them off and make them a vanilla. So if they're trying to swing at you with, you know, triple strike or double strike or triple attack, and they won't be able to restand, they won't be able to just continue and snowball, and any type of big attackers, you'll be able to just kind of stop them, which is why I have this card in the deck, especially because you can activate it for free as long as you have Unison with 2 markers out. Vegeta's Final Flash, you're playing yellow, you have to play Final Flash. Activate Battle, this is the better version of Release from Evil because it's Activate Battle. So if they've already committed over comboing on their leader swing for like a double strike or something like that, or from their battle card swing, and they give it like a Champa or something like that, you can just kind of Final Flash it, you know, get rid of the double strike, take 1 damage, and now they just kind of use all their resources for that last swing, and it just kind of gets you the next turn. Like you need a lot of those scenarios in yellow getting to the next turn or getting 1 more turn. So that's why yellow just has a good amount of extra cards that can kind of disrupt what your opponent is doing offensively. We're playing 2 Frieza Army Reinforcements. I like it at 1, but you want to see it, so 2 is fine. You can always charge it if you get an extra 1. Going down from 5 to 4 with this card on defense is really nice because you're essentially stopping 2 attacks, and then you can just go ahead and get the full advantage of your Awaken on your turn when you're ready. And then the last card, of course, we're playing is Power of a Super Saiyan. It's at 1. You play it at 1. Why not? It does act as a negate as well if you need it. But for the most part, you're going to go ahead and free play it to draw 1 and put something in rest mode. So that's the deck profile for DripKu. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and please hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything No Counters, No Combos. We really do appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.